Morning, everybody. I'd like to start by thanking Deanie, John, Jen and the team and also the department for their help in organising this. We're fairly interwoven with the governance around the NBN here in the local community in Townsville, the Broadband in the Tropics Committee, which is your executive steering committee here, and several of the subcommittees. So almost daily we're a bit involved, and obviously with our main partner, Townsville City Council. I'm going to run through a very large presentation very quickly. I am going to leave the pack here if you want access to it. I'm here all day, so if you want to grab me and have a chat about stuff, feel free. What I'm going to run through, as I said, in lightning speed, is just to give you some context of what's happened and what is happening globally in this space. Talk about the digital divide here in Australia and how we're proposing to close that. I'll then talk about the three network elements which constitute practically the NBN, which are the fibre network, the fixed wireless network and the satellite network. If we have time, I'll do a quick overview of applications both here and internationally that run on top of the network, all three elements of it. And then Danny will come up and then we'll do Q&A, I think probably up to yours as well. Okay, so I mean it goes without saying that in the international digital economy, many other countries have gone down this path before us. Other countries, by way of their telephone carriers largely, have developed, designed, deployed, activated and operated and maintained their NBN. So here are some stats. I'm not going to go through them all. It's a huge contributor, the internet space, and hopefully at the end of this you'll start to realise that what we are doing is so much more than increasing the speed of just the internet. We're introducing platforms for new business models and economic stimulus as well. Every sector, and again there's some factors here, every sector will be touched by this, the health sector, even the farming sector. There's extensive tests and trials being run down in New England, in Armidale, across Kirby Farm and others, looking at applications across from the supply chain of the farm through to optimisation of crops, stock, delivery, selling, marketing, business development. So every sector in the country will be affected by this. This shows you that sort of international context. It's depicting the penetration of fibre in various economies around the world. You'll see South Korea's at the top there and some other Asian countries and European countries. In a previous life I had the interesting joy of trying to select a country in Asia to locate a $100 million broadband testing integration facility, and the fight between four economies, four cities, Shanghai, Taipei, Singapore and Hong Kong, was intense. So not only do we locate this testing facility and all the jobs that went with it in one of those cities, what the government did, they subsidised us to give access to students to the infrastructure and to our staff after hours and on weekends as well, so that Asian country, and this is 3 years ago, that Asian country could get a head start on the innovation and incubation of applications to run over broadband networks, knowing that this is a worldwide trend. Now the salient point about that slide is that we're just not on there yet. So obviously one of our remits is to help close that international relative digital divide. There are many devices and applications. You'll see a couple of DVDs today that are home-based, business-based. We'll go through them with you. One of the things I probably would point out is there exists in the world applications, transformation of businesses, small and large, that you can learn and study from. So we don't have to innovate everything here. As I said, countries have gone down this path before, and we're working with the department on a range of sort of overviews so people can understand what they are. This slide just depicts concurrent applications sitting on end-user devices in a typical home or apartment of the future, and shows you the discrete elements of bandwidth by application, and also the cumulative effect, if you like, of running those at the same time in a property. It doesn't take very long to soak up some increased bandwidth. Again, a very simple relative slide showing you to download 1 gig across the different technology delivery platforms. You're getting down to about 8 seconds on fibre. Now, I'm not going to spend time going today into the nuances and the differences between the technologies of fibre versus wireless versus fixed wireless. I'll do a little bit of that, but if you want to grab me later, I'm happy to talk about why fibre and the extent of fibre. If you're interested, you can go onto YouTube or Google and have a look at some of the other homes and businesses operating on these broadband networks. This is a list of them, the Microsoft one in San Jose, South Korea, Belgium. And you can do virtual tours and just understand what these things look like. And again, I think during lunch we might be showing a video of the Australian equivalent. I throw this up just to help give some context. This is just a simple evolution of the visual televisional display unit. So what you have is, we're going from high definition, then into Super HD, then you're getting the introduction of 3D televisions now. And when I say television, I actually mean think of visual communication in a medical sense, education sense, as well as entertainment. So where we're going to go is increase in pixelation rate. So what the little brackets are showing, as we increase the pixelation, we're able to increase the dimension on a screen. So when we get to proper 3D TV, for, again, all those things, health, education and entertainment, you won't need the goggles. You'll have, from any of you in the room, a 3-dimension depth provided by an increase in pixelation, which can only be supported by the sort of bandwidth that's going to come through the NBN. I throw this up, and it sort of helped when you've got the video, which you'll see later, digital wallpaper. Digital wallpaper does exist. It's used for entertainment, security. You can add thermal detectors, dark cameras, HD cameras, and basically understand if an elderly isolated parent is upright, the stove's being left on, links into security, energy management system, and all that sort of thing. So again, a lot of these devices, applications are out there at the moment. NBN Co, just to give you some context, will never have a one-to-one relationship with you as a small business or a large business, or as a consumer for that matter. We are a wholesale provider. On top of us, there is a whole ecosystem developing for design of applications. So it's not too dissimilar, if you think about it, to the iPhone. We're providing the base infrastructure. We're allowing others in different verticals, sort of demonstrated here, to develop applications based on need. And again, there's a lot that's happened internationally that we can learn from. Constructing the network, down to the nuts and bolts, where am I pointing? 93% of the premises, not the people, the premises in this country will be connected to fibre. That activity will take 9.5 years to complete. Townsville is at the very front of that whole exercise. Townsville is also the largest fibre build underway over the next 12 months in the country. And that is not by default, that's by design, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But it will take us 9.5 years, even with the Telstra deal, which gives us access to infrastructure, expedite the rollout, minimise impact, etc. It will take us 9.5 years to connect all the properties that we have. Now, this is an average figure. As you get to the Northern Territory, SA, the difference between the ratios of fixed wireless, fibre and satellite alter a little bit. 4% will be connected by fixed wireless, not mobile wireless, and I'll talk about that in a moment. This network, our first fibre release sites are currently underway. Toowoomba, Tamworth, Geraldton, Ballarat and Darwin. They will be complete by mid-next year. The whole fixed wireless network will be completed by 2015. So nominally there will be areas around here that will be on fixed wireless. Now, the general rule of thumb is that for communities or clusters of properties of 1,000 or more, that will be fibre. There is actually a list of the towns that we'll go to across the country that are designated to be fibre builds. Most of the fixed wireless sits just at the urban edge or beyond. So when we look at deploying towers, and for this network we will have to deploy towers, where we can we want to augment towers and use other infrastructure, but we will have to put up some towers. Those towers won't be by the design of the network inside the urban centre, they'll be out in the rural area. And then 3% will be satellite. We have an interim satellite at the moment through a wholesale arrangement with 2 providers. That will last until 2015 when we put up our own 2 satellites. Already we've got schools, Queensland, the Northern Territory, the Isolated Parents Association knocking on the door, trying to, we've got to prioritise until we put our own satellites up how we migrate customers over to the satellite because there's limited capacity. And obviously we're focusing on education and remote families and that sort of thing. So, these homes are going from kilobits per second to megabits per second. So it's a huge difference for people out in the country. And the price, the wholesale price is the same across the whole country.